Where were you when I needed you?
I made a choice. I couldn't stay.
You were selfish.
No!
You abandoned me. You failed me. Do you know what I've become?
At the 4 final episodes of Star Wars Season 7, The Clone Wars, the more that I am convinced that these are the only 4 episodes you need to see. I want you to consider the Bad Batch arc, which was only there to show you the state of relations between Asoka and Anakin, and to showcase Anakin's reticence to using slightly dark tactics towards his desired outcome in that particular campaign. Asoka encountering the Vasquez. This was a yay girl power attempt to ultimately point Asoka towards Mandalore. A complete waste of time. But if you think about it in terms of where were all these Filoni created characters during episode 3, then it gets interesting. For maximum effect, this quadrilogy, thank you Black Angus Reviews, needs to be seen concurrently with Revenge of the Sith. And I pray one of our brothers creates the pathway towards that experience. At the same time, however, we've been made very, very aware that Star Wars is supposed to be something that is consumed by girls for Disney princess reasons. Thus, we have characters like the Martezes. We have characters like, I'm sorry, Ahsoka Tano, and we have characters like Bo-Katan. Now, a simple scan into Disney Plus on this May the 4th be with you reveals Forces of Destiny conveniently slipped in the pack. But look at what it says. It's the same strained thing that we heard uttered across the creative table just weeks ago. This is the Disneyfication of the storyline. And if you do not wish to see spoilers past this point, go ahead and pause it. We'll wait. The last time that ObiWan, Anakin, and Asoka meet each other, we can tell that there's a distinct difference between normal peopling, military typical, and blind faith. Anakin is very emotional, and he's very much a, hi, how you doing? Asoka is trying to be, I'm alright, but I'm not one of you. ObiWan is somewhere in the middle. He looks one way and sees what Anakin is, or could be, and he sees the other way of what Anakin taught and how it should be. Now, after the call comes in, Palpatine needs to be saved. Ahsoka's pissed off, but Anakin manages to steal her away from him and pat her on the back and be like, yeah, I fixed these things up for you and I gave you half the fucking crew, including everything that shouldn't be seen in the movie. And she's like, cool. They say goodbye, and then Anakin goes off to do Revenge of the Sith stuff. Rex and Ahsoka and the divided 501st go to do Siege of Mandalore shit. This is where it gets interesting. Revenge of the Sith plays itself out, but we get interspliced into direct events. Following the capture of Mandalore, ObiWan and Ahsoka Tano speak via holocron. I fear a deep dark side of the... And she's like, how could you dare? And She basically takes up Anakin's side in the argument. This is his Padawan. She has been trained to think and fight the same basic way, but she has unquestionable morality, whereas Anakin has begun to think deeper within himself. The climax of the Siege of Mandalore, we find Ahsoka Tano faced off with Darth Maul. Now, I don't know how this exactly plays out in the Force, but it appears that Darth Maul divines the intent of Darth Sidious from the beginning with regards to Anakin Skywalker. And between the two of them, Ahsoka Tano is in denial. So he's like, yes, yes, and she's like, no, no, and it erupts into a lightsaber duel. Now, this is one of the things that I found Darth Vader clip most impressive about the production of this particular piece of Season 7, The Clone Wars. Lucasfilm actually possessed the foresight to video capture Ray Park and another stunt double in the Phantom Apprentice episode. You look at certain sections and certain elements, you can tell where Ray Park's physical prowess was incorporated into the final action sequences of this particular episode. Now, Maul puts up a valiant fight, but he is ultimately captured by the Mandalorians under the tutelage of Ahsoka Tano. And he is placed into some kind of Hannibal Lecter type restraint for Force sensitives. So then Darth Lecter is sequestered into a starship for delivery to Coruscant, the Jedi Council. So everything's cool, alright? We got a bow tie. It's wrapped upon this whole arc. Halfway towards Coruscant, the word comes through. Rex is commander amongst the clones, so he is cordoned off to a private communique, wherein Darth Sidious orders 66. It seems at first he's trying to fight it, but he can't. And then I ask myself, Ahsoka Tano, she survived when Ki-Adi-Mundi, Isla Secura, Plo Koon, none of them could. How could Ahsoka? Well, this is Anakin Skywalker's Padawan. Taught her everything she knows about fighting and most of her moral compass. Now, maybe Ahsoka had no idea about Anakin's insecurities. I believe he would have concealed these to his Padawan, and she would definitely lack the skill to draw that out of him. But she executed everything with precision, and she executed everything in a non-violent way. Perfect Jedi. Even though Windu called her citizen. As she's jucking and jiving and dodging and ducking, she goes and decides to free Darth Maul as a diversion. And in this eye-to-eye contact, we see clearly the difference between Jedi and Sith, at least in thinking, because neither of them are either. And once they split their respective ways, Ahsoka finds 3 astromech droids. We have one that's like an R2 unit, we have one that's like a po chopper unit, and then we find one that I can't recall because it didn't stick in my memory. Rex is abducted, and between the 4 of the organics and droids, they were able to remove his inhibitor chip, which makes him come to his senses. And after pushing forward towards the bridge, Ahsoka and Rex have a moment of morality. Now, Rex has already agreed to put his blaster on stun. Ahsoka is unwilling to be the hand of death, even despite military advisement. And when Ahsoka and Rex come up with a plan, we see clearly the difference between Jedi and Sith thinking. Maul is going through the corridors, and we are given a treatment upon the Rogue One Vader scene, except Maul is sloppy. He's not quite the Sith that Vader is, obviously. But despite being unarmed, he manages to strangle and slam and choke and dismantle every clone soldier he comes upon, until he finally comes upon the hyperdrive chamber, which he destroys with every ounce of malice in his heart. He kills troopers, he kills the entire ship, and he knows he only has moments to escape. Rex, meanwhile, takes Ahsoka Tano, tries to appeal to the clone's logic. This is not a Jedi. This is a Jedi advisor. Maybe possessed of the same skills, but this is not what we were hunting. But then Jesse calls bullshit. No, wait, motherfucker. You told us to execute her and Maul and any clone who was a traitor to this order. I'm calling you a traitor. Fuck off. And that's when these droids come back into play. They lower and raise the decks between the landing ramp and the service ramp before they get face fucked. Maul tries to take off in a shuttle, and Ahsoka tries to draw it back. Now this is where I think she fucked up, is that she's trying to draw back the entire craft instead of doing what Anakin would have done and interrupted the controls. But that's why she's a Padawan, and that's why Anakin's a master. She realized she can't hold on because there's too many fuckers firing at her with too little backup, and she lets Maul go, finally surrendering to the will of the Force. Maul blasts off. Ahsoka has to figure out her shit from this point. Finding one reasonably repaired starfighter, they begin a halo jump. Rex pilots the starfighter, fully faithful that Ahsoka Tano will halo dive to his exact position. Now we see a couple of near misses, and I honestly want to believe that she would have stretched out her hand and done the Leia Poppins, but I think what we see here is a result of applied vectoring, nothing else. Now Ahsoka took so much care as to not directly execute any particular clone. She did not take care to the fate that gravity would have upon every clone. But once the thing had been done and everybody had been cleared and all that, her and Rex, and you can see Rex carrying a shovel, buried every clone that they could find, and moreover, put their helmets upon pikes. So you could see Jesse, you could see every clone who wore Ahsoka's colors. And with no dialogue and with solely music to tell us how to feel, we see Ahsoka attending this funeral of sorts with a cloak over her head. But whereas in Rebels we saw her as a Gandalf the White type of character, here we see her as a Gandalf the Grey kind of character. So she kisses her lightsaber goodbye, drops it, and then cavorts back off into the galaxy to whatever fate the Force wills her. Sometime after the Empire has been established, we see Vader's shuttle land, fold up its wings. We see various probe droids and stormtroopers in Empire-era armor. Vader comes up upon the crash scene, now in winter, sees all the soldiers, and then senses the lightsaber of his apprentice in the snow. Now here is where you will get a different interpretation of these events from me as opposed to my peers. I believe that because Anakin stoops and picks up the lightsaber somewhat reverently, and this is evidenced by him carefully wiping the snow off of this and caring to ignite it, that we are actually encountering a young, suited Darth Vader. This isn't a Darth Vader who's been around for a decade or two, because we can see in different mediums where he just impassively finds something and treats it like a thing. He reaches out, it calls up to his hand, and he might ignite it, he might look at it, but it causes him no emotional consideration. This artifact, of course, does, because these events have weighed heavily on his recent memories, and I would be confident in the statement that just as the Jedi might have preached detachment from people and the objects which represented those people, the Sith might have had a much, much harsher version of that lesson. Vader seems to consider this. He closes down the lightsaber and walks away. Overall, I think this is probably the best Clone Wars episode, period. Previous to this, Palpatine versus Maul and Savage Opress occupied this station in my heart for this particular series. This one far outclasses that for many, many reasons. Once again, I really think you only need these last 4 episodes to get the essence of what this is, and if Lucasfilm was smart, they would have just stretched this particular story out over the course of 12 episodes. Regardless, however, even from the extremely scrutinous eyeballs of the Phantom Menace, this is an example of what we could be given, honoring of the mythology, and a possible direction towards the future. This arc is what you had been missing, and what we respectfully would like to see in the future, where it's more important to be a gender as opposed to a constitution which can embody any physical receptacle.
Anger, fear, oppression. The dark side are they. Once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny.